What's up guys, my name is Ace, and Season 6 of Modern Warfare 3 brought 3 brand new attachments, 2 of which are totally broken, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking this down and showing you guys exactly how these work, as well as a few ridiculously good setups that you can use with these attachments. And let's just dive right into it with the more boring attachment that just does what it says it does, and I wouldn't call this one broken by any means, it's just a nice addition to the game. This is the XTEN Binate Suppressor. And with this one, it's essentially the answer to the ECS Requiter suppressor that's available on SMGs, but this one is available on LMGs, battle rifles, and most of the marksman rifles. Not every one of them, but most of the marksman rifles. And it's almost the same attachment as the ECS Requiter on SMGs. With this one, it's a suppressor, so you're off the radar. It slightly improves our aim down sight speed by just 4%, but that's a nice welcome improvement. However, the downside with this is it does have a visible laser when you're aiming down sight. And the only real difference here compared to the ECS Requiter is the fact that it doesn't help with firing aim stability. At least it's not stated that it helps with that. But outside of that, it's basically the same thing, just for a different set of guns. And honestly, a pretty boring attachment, like I said. Not a bad attachment, just a little bit boring. Now let's get into the more interesting ones. And we're going to start this off with the Caster X1 Compensator muzzle, which is actually available on the exact same set of guns as the previous one. So all of the LMGs, all of the battle rifles, and most of the marksman rifles. The only ones that you can't put this on in the marksman rifle category are the MCW 6.8, the DM56, the MTZ Interceptor, the Lockwood Mark II, and then of course the crossbow. And with this one, on the pro side, this massively improves our horizontal recoil control. It's actually a 34% improvement here, which is really good. In fact, I think it's the best single attachment you can put on a gun in this game for horizontal recoil control. It's even better than the JAK BFB muzzle when we're talking specifically about horizontal recoil control. So that is huge. Also, it's not stated in the pros, but we actually get a little bit of vertical recoil control as well. We got a 5% improvement there, which is nice. And then on top of that, it helps a bit with firing aim stability. And when you look at some of the side-by-side testing I did here, you can see a massive improvement when it comes to that horizontal recoil. And therefore, for any gun that does have a whole lot of horizontal recoil that is capable of using this attachment, I would highly recommend it just for those reasons. And on the con side of things, this is meant to harm our aim down sight speed a bit. However, that's not what's actually happening. Currently, this attachment is actually broken and bugged out and not working as intended. And instead of harming our aim down sight speed, what it does is it just sets your aim down sight speed for the gun to 250 milliseconds, regardless of what your base aim down sight speed is. So you can take the slowest aiming down sight LMG, the MWIII 7.62, which has a base aim down sight speed of 420 milliseconds. Put this attachment on, suddenly you're at 250 milliseconds. So that's about a 40% improvement, which is ridiculous. I don't know of any single attachment that can improve your aim down sight speed by that much. However, of course, it works inconsistently depending on which gun you're putting it on. If you select a gun like the brand new battle rifle, for instance, that has a base aim down sight speed of 250 milliseconds, so when you put this attachment on, it doesn't have any impact on your aim down sight speed. Or take the KVD Enforcer, which has a base aim down sight speed of 240 milliseconds, and now this is going to be harming your aim down sight speed by bringing it up to 250 milliseconds. And the really interesting thing about this is even though this is bugged in this way, it still will stack with other attachments that improve your aim down sight speed. So it'll bring it down to 250 and then you can still improve it from there with other attachments. However, I did find an exception to that, and that is trying to stack it with aftermarket parts like with the MWIII 7.62. If you try to use the bullpup kit combined with this, you're not going to get a better aim down sight speed. It's actually going to be harming your aim down sight speed in that case. So this is definitely bugged out as it is right now. I suspect this is going to get fixed at some point in the coming days, but at least as of the time of me recording this video, this is currently broken. And then another thing to point out here is it looks like we're also getting a 5% reduction to our bullet velocity, which isn't stated in the pros and cons, but it is stated in the advanced stats. Now, with that in mind, I did want to point out a couple different ways that you can take advantage of this bugged out attachment while it's in its current state. And this is with something like the Kar 98 or any of the bolt action marksman rifles, but I'm just going to use the Kar 98 as an example here. We can combine this with all of the other attachments that help with our aim down sight speed to get a new aim down sight speed of 182 milliseconds, which is ridiculously fast for a one-shot kill weapon in this game. And you can do a similar thing with some of the LMGs as well, like with the MWIII, for instance, with a really slow base aim down sight speed at 420 milliseconds. Normally with that gun, I wouldn't dream of being able to get below 200 millisecond aim down sight speed with that gun, but with this attachment, you can do that. So that's just a couple examples of what you can accomplish with this muzzle, and it's something you may want to play around with a little bit. But finally, let's move into the last attachment, which is the most broken out of all of them. It's even more broken than the previous one, and you can do some insane things with this, which you've probably already been seeing in the background gameplay. This is the brand new underbarrel, the Bracefire-HC Grip, which is available for many of the LMGs, but not all of them. So it's available on the new cast-off LMG, the TAC Evolver, the Pulimut, the TAC Eradicator, and the Wrap-H LMG. And those are the only guns in the game where I was able to find this grip. It's possible I've missed something, but I did go through like category by category, and I couldn't find any other guns. But diving into this, in its current state, there's no pros and cons stated. So let's just dive into the advanced stats. And things are immediately looking insane here, and I suspect something is bugged out with this because there are some ridiculously huge upsides with no apparent downsides attached to this. So let's start it off with mobility. Not only are we getting a roughly 10% improvement to all of our standard movement speeds, we're also getting a roughly 100% improvement to our aim down sight movement speed. And that's the part that is absolutely insane about this attachment, or at least the main part. However, it's doing even more than this. It's also helping significantly with our hipfire spread, both minimum and maximum. And our tac stance spread, we also get a huge improvement there at about 20%. And then it appears to have a similar bug to the previous attachment when it comes to our aim down sight speed. So for many of the LMGs, it's just going to set your aim down sight speed to 250 milliseconds. Although the TAC Evolver is a bit of an exception here. It'll actually set that to 236 milliseconds. But in either case, we're seeing ridiculous improvements here when using this attachment. Most importantly, our aim down sight movement speed, which can then be stacked with our tac stance movement speed. With the right setup, this allows you to move while aiming down sight in tac stance noticeably faster than your sprint speed in this game, which means you can also strafe extremely quickly side to side, and it makes you a ridiculously hard target to shoot. Now, not only that, but when you're using this grip, if you don't go into tac stance and you try to aim down sights, one of the sort of gimmicks of this grip is it doesn't allow you to fully aim down sight. It gives you an almost tac stance-like spread, so it's meant to sort of mimic that chainsaw attachment that we've seen in older Call of Duty games. But the crazy thing is, when you swap over to tac stance, you can get significantly better accuracy than this pseudo aim down sight, assuming you're using the right attachment combination, of course. But you're also moving way faster when in tac stance and aiming down sight compared to regular aiming down sight, or like I said, even faster than sprinting. So obviously this attachment is totally broken as well. It's a lot of fun to use, and it's kind of funny how bad people's aim is if you strafe in a gunfight against them while using this with the right attachment combination in tac stance. But at the same time, this is absolutely broken and definitely needs to be fixed because it is going to be a major problem in the game. Until then, though, I'm definitely going to have some fun with this, and I'd recommend checking it out as well. And if you want to check it out on the brand new LMG, the cast-off LSW, this is the attachment combination I'd recommend if you're really trying to take full advantage of this underbarrel grip. I'd also recommend stacking this with the Stalker boots combined with the Ninja vest if you want to make sure you have quiet footsteps still. And if you do this, this gives us a tactical stance movement speed of 6.82 meters per second, which is faster than your sprint speed with this gun, and it allows you to dodge shots like crazy, while also being insanely accurate in tac stance. So definitely a great and fun way to use the new LMG at the moment. However, we can do even better than that, actually much better than that, with the TAC Evolver using these attachments. And one of the keys here is using the 5.56 ammo type. With this, our tactical stance movement speed when stacked with Stalker boots is 7.79 meters per second, which is not only faster than our sprint speed, this is faster than our tactical sprint speed. In fact, just for some additional context here, this is faster than the tactical sprint speed of every SMG in the game by default. Essentially, the only things that are going to be beating you movement speed-wise are melee weapons and some of the sidearms in tac sprint. So this setup is definitely broken, but a whole lot of fun as well. I think the game is going to devolve a little bit until they get on top of fixing this, because this attachment definitely needs some balancing and some tuning in place. However, I feel this is one of those moments we're going to look back on fairly fondly. Like, remember how broken that was, but it was a lot of fun for a few days until they got on top of it. So as it is right now, I'd say just take advantage of it. Other people are going to be doing it anyway. Treat it as just a broken period for the game where you can approach things totally different until this ends up getting fixed, which it will inevitably have to be fixed. In either case, that is going to wrap it up today's video on these 3 crazy new attachments with Season 6 of Modern Warfare 3. And this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about these attachments so far in their current state in this game? Do you guys like how broken a couple of these are? Or do you think they really need to be fixed soon? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.